Namo Buddhaya, the Satasahasrika Prajnaparamita Sutram, the Learned Sutra on Perfect Wisdom, the chapter 48, and it seems to be not complete till the end, so I read whatever it is written in the text. Settlement in the training of a bodhisattva. Thereupon the gods of the realm of sense desire and of the realm of form took heavenly sandalwood powder, took heavenly blue lotuses, pink lotuses, night lotuses, and white lotuses, and scattered them over the Lord. They approached to where the Lord was respectfully saluted. His feet with their heads stood on one side and said to the Lord, Deep, O Lord, is the perfection of wisdom, hard to see, hard to understand, incomprehensible, engaged in incomprehensibilities, subtle, delicate, to be felt only by the learned and discerning. In antagonism to the entire world is the enlightenment of the Tathagatas, by which the Tathagatas are able to expound this so deep perfection of wisdom. Form, etc., is just the knowledge of all modes, the knowledge of all modes is just form, etc., the suchness of form, etc., to the Buddha, and the suchness of the knowledge of all modes are just one single suchness, they are not two or divided. Antagonism to the entire world, the Lord. So it is, O gods, when he considers this sequence of reasoning, the thought of the Tathagata is inclined to carefree non-action and not to the demonstration of Dharma. And why? Because really this Dharma, the enlightenment of the Tathagata, is deep, hard to see, hard to understand, incomprehensible, engaged in incomprehensibility, subtle, delicate, to be felt only by the learned and discerning, and antagonistic to the entire world. It has not been fully known by anyone, not at any time nor anywhere. This is the depth of dharmas, wherein the habitual idea of duality doesn't exist. This dharma is deep through the idea of space, of suchness, of the dharma element, of the reality limit, of the unthinkable element, of the endless and boundless, of that which neither comes nor goes, of the full knowledge of non-production and non-stopping, of non-defilement and non-purification, of the full knowledge of the unaffected, of the self, etc., to one who sees, of form, of the other skandhas, of the perfections, the various kinds of emptiness, etc., to the knowledge of all modes, the gods. Surely, as in the antagonism to the entire world, has this Dharma been expounded. And why? Because this Dharma, O Lord, is not demonstrated for the sake of taking up form, nor for the sake of not taking it up. And so, with feeling, etc., to the 18 special Buddha Dharmas, the fruit of stream etc., to the knowledge of all modes, but it is in taking up that the world courses. Mine is form, I am form, etc., to mine is the knowledge of all modes. I have the knowledge of all modes, the Lord. So it is God's. So it is. This Dharma is not demonstrated for the sake of taking up form, etc., to the knowledge of all modes, nor for the sake of not taking them up. But those gods who course in the taking up of form, etc., or for not taking it up, they are not capable of developing the perfection of giving, etc., to the perfection of wisdom, etc., to the knowledge of all modes. Nowhere abstracted. So Buddhi, in agreement with all dharmas is this dharma, in agreement with which all dharmas, it is an agreement with the perfection of wisdom, etc., to the perfection of giving, the emptiness of the subject, etc., to the knowledge of all modes. And this dharma is not anywhere abstracted by what is not abstracted, by form, etc., to by the knowledge of all modes. Marked with non-abstraction is this dharma. On account of this sameness with space, suchness, the establishment of the Dharma element, the reality limit, the unthinkable element, emptiness, the signless, the wishless, non-production, non-stopping, non-defilement, and non-purification. Non-produced is this Dharma on account of the non-apprehension of the production of form, etc., to the knowledge of all modes. Groundless. Trackless apado is this Dharma on account of the non-apprehension of form, etc., to the knowledge of all modes. Without a resort, the gods of the realm of sense and desire and of the realm of form, born after the image of the Lord, O Lord, in this elder Subhuti. And why? Because wherever the elder Subhuti demonstrates all the He just demonstrates starting from the emptiness, from the silence, from the wishless. Subhuti. As you say, O gods, born after the image of the Tathagata is Subhuti the elder. It is because he is born after the image of the Tathagata. As the Tathagata's suchness has neither come nor gone, so also that of Subhuti the elder. For from the very beginning has Subhuti the elder become to be born after the image of the Tathagata. As the Tathagata's suchness, so is that of all dharmas, as the suchness of all dharmas is the same as that of Tathagata. But the Tathagata's suchness is no suchness. It is thus also that Subhuti the elder has been born after the image of the Tathagata. As the Tathagata's suchness, so has Subhuti the elder been established, and he has been born after the image of the Tathagata. As the Tathagata's suchness is immutable and indiscriminate, so also that of Subhuti the elder. As the Tathagata's suchness is nowhere abstracted, so also that of all dharmas. The suchness of the Tathagata and the suchness of all dharmas. They are both one single suchness, not two are divided. Unmade is that suchness, and there is nothing of which it is not the suchness. That is why it is not two or divided. It is in this sense that the elder Subhuti is born after the image of the Tathagata. Everywhere this suchness is immutable, indiscriminate, and undifferentiated, and so it is also the suchness of Subhuti. Just as the Tathagata's suchness is not broken apart, unbroken, unbreakable, and incomprehensible, so is that of Subhuti. It is thus that Subhuti the elder is born after the image of the Tathagata. As the suchness of the Tathagata cannot fail to be the suchness of each and every dharma, just such as the suchness. Just so is the Subhuti the elder born after the image of the Tathagata, because he is not other than him, but he is not born after the image of anything. It is thus that Subhuti the elder is born after the image of the Tathagata. As the suchness of the Tathagata is not past, future, or present, so also the suchness of all dharmas. It is that the Subhuti the elder is called born after the image of the Tathagata, born after the image of suchness. Through the suchness of the sameness of the past is the suchness of the sameness of the Tathagata. Through the sameness of the suchness of the Tathagata is the suchness of the sameness of the past. And so, for the future and present, in consequence, the suchness of the past, future, and present, and the suchness of the Tathagata are not two or divided. To the suchness of the Tathagata is the suchness of form, etc. In consequence, the suchness of form, etc., and the suchness of the Tathagata are not two or divided. And so, for the suchness of the self, etc., to one who sees of the six perfections, the various kinds of emptiness, etc., of the knowledge of all modes, it is because he has fully known this suchness in suchness that a bodhisattva, the great being, comes to be called a Tathagata, unborn. When this question on suchness has been taught, this great Italicon shook in 6 ways, stirred, quake, was agitated, resounded, and rumbled, etc. Thereupon the gods of the realm of sense, desire, and form scattered and showered family sandalwood powder over the Lord and over Subhuti the elder, and pronounced these words: "It is wonderful, O Lord, how much this Subhuti the elder is born after the image of the Tathagata through the suchness of the Tathagata." Subhuti. But Subhuti the elder, O God, is not born after the image of form or anything other than form, or born after the image of the suchness of form or anything other than the suchness of form, etc. He is not born after the knowledge of all modes, nor anything other than the knowledge of all modes, not born after the suchness of the knowledge of all modes, not anything other than the suchness of the knowledge of all modes, not born after the conditioned or anything other than the conditioned, not born after the suchness of the conditioned or anything other than the suchness of the conditioned, and so with the unconditioned. And why? Because all these dharmas do not exist and are not apprehended, neither he has been born after, or that through which he has been born after, nor he who would be born after, nor that through which he would be born after, nor he who would make him be born after, nor that through which he would be made to be born after. The non-apprehension even of suchness. Shariputra. Deeper Lord is the suchness, non-falseness, unaltered suchness, the Dharmahood, the Dharma element, the establishment nature of Dharma, the fixed nature of Dharma, the reality limit, in which no form is apprehended, nor form suchness, etc. Form is just not apprehended. Just how could the suchness of form be apprehended, etc., to the knowledge of all modes? The Lord. So it is Shariputra, so it is deepest suchness, in which no form is apprehended, no the suchness of form. Form is just not apprehended. How could this suchness be apprehended, etc., to the knowledge of all modes? Again, Shariputra, when this chapter of suchness, non-falseness and utter suchness, was being taught, the thought of 200 monks were freed from the outlaws without any further clinging. To 500 nuns there arose the dispassionate and stained Dharma I in Dharmas, and 5,000 bodhisattvas, gods and men, acquired the passion acceptance of Dharmas which failed to be produced, and 6,000 bodhisattvas were freed from outflows without any further clinging. And these bodhisattvas, great beings, have honored 500 Buddhas, and have every way given gifts, guarded their morality, developed their passion, exerted their vigor, produced their trances, and developed wisdoms. But they were not upheld by correct wisdom and skill and means. They gave gifts while coursing in manifoldness. This gift we will give to him, but not to him. We will guard this morality, develop this passion and vigor, and to enter these trances, develop this wisdom. Like an imperfect wisdom and not upheld by skill and means, they give gifts, etc., to develop wisdom, coursing in the notion of not-self and then non-apprehension of not-self. They have not entered on the Bodhisattva's special method of salvation. They have attained the fruit of extreme winner, etc., to arhatship, but although the Bodhisattva, the great being, has the path of emptiness, the silence, and the wishness, because he is like an imperfect wisdom and not upheld by skill and means, he has realized the relative limit and become a disciple of Pratika Buddha. Shariputra, for what reason do they, when developing the dharmas of emptiness, silence, and wishless, because they lack in skill and means, realize the relative limit and become disciples and Pratika Buddhas, whereas the Bodhisattvas develop in just these same dharmas of emptiness, the silence, and the wishless, because they have been taken hold of by the perfection of wisdom, thanks to their skill and means, fully know the supreme enlightenment, the Lord. Here Shariputra, some lacking in the thought of the knowledge of all modes, developing dharmas of emptiness, silence, and wishless, become, thanks to their lack of skill and means, disciples and Pratika Buddhas. Here again the Bodhisattvas, the great beings, not lacking in the thought of knowledge of all modes, developing the dharma of emptiness, silence, and wishless, thanks to their skill and means, enter on the Bodhisattva's special way of salvation. Suppose there is a very huge bird with a body about 100 or up to 500 miles large. That bird would intend to fly from the gods of the 33 down to here, but it would be deficient in wings. It would take off from the gods of 33 and decide to land here in Jambudvipa. What do you think, Shariputra? Is that bird would, in the middle of its journey, wish to have stayed with the gods of the 33? Would it be able to do so? Shariputra, no, Lord, the Lord. And could it hope to come down in Jambudvipa without damage or injury? Shariputra, no, Lord. It is bound to get damaged and injured, and when it drops down on Jambudvipa, it will incur death or deadly pain. And why? Because of the fact that whereas its body is huge, its wings are insufficient. The Lord. So it is Shariputra, although a Bodhisattva may for eons countless as the sands of the Ganga river give gifts, etc., to enter on the trances, and although his setting forth may be great, and his thought of enlightenment and his effort to win the supreme enlightenment, but if he is lacking in perfect wisdom and skill and means, he falls on the level of a disciple of Pratika Buddha. And why? Because as one who is lacking in the thought of the knowledge of all modes, has that Bodhisattva given gifts, etc., to has he produced the trances, and that Bodhisattva lacking in perfect wisdom and not upheld by skill and means, fall on the level of the disciples and Pratika Buddhas. And although that Bodhisattva brings to mind the morality, concentration, wisdom, emancipation, and the vision of cognition of the emancipation of the past, future, and present Buddhas and Lords, remains it in mind and makes it into a sign, he does nevertheless not cognize the morality of the Tathagatas, etc., to their vision and cognition of emancipation. Uncognizing without understanding, he hears talk about emptiness, the silence, the wishless. He makes that talk into a sign and dedicates it to the supreme enlightenment. Thus, the dedicated Bodhisattva will stand on the level of a disciple of Pratika Buddha. And why? For it is a fact, Shariputra, that lacking in perfect wisdom and skill and means, he dedicates this wholesome roots to the supreme enlightenment, the aids of emancipation, the aids to emancipation in general. And again, Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, the great being, beginning with the first thought of enlightenment, not lacking in the thought of the knowledge of all modes, gives gifts but does not make that into a sign. He develops the applications of mindfulness, etc., but does not make that into a sign. Fivefold division of the aims to emancipation. The aims of emancipation, which consist in faith, and not lacking in perfect wisdom and skill and means, he brings to mind of the past, future, and present Buddha the mass of morality, concentration, wisdom, emancipation, and the mass of the vision of the cognition of emancipation. But all that he doesn't make into a sign. He doesn't make the emptiness concentration into a sign, etc. One should know, Shariputra, that this Bodhisattva, this great being, will not stand on the level of a disciple of Pratyeka Buddha, but unhurt and uninjured. He will know the full enlightenment. The aid of emancipation which consists in vigor. And why? For by that Bodhisattva, the great being, beginning with the first thought of enlightenment, gifts have been given, but that has not been made into a sign. Morality has been guarded, etc. Of the past, future, and present Buddhas and Lords, the morality, etc., to the vision and cognition of emancipation have not been made into a sign. This Shariputra is of the Bodhisattva, the great being, the skill in means that which a mind devoid of signs they have given gifts, etc., to that they course in all knowledge that yet do not make that into a sign. An aid to emancipation which consists in mindfulness. Shariputra, as I understand the meaning of the Lord's teaching, the Bodhisattva, the great being, who beginning with the first thought of enlightenment is not lacking in perfect wisdom and skill and means, will indubitably will win full enlightenment. The aid to emancipation which consists in concentration. And why? For the Bodhisattva, the great being, has beginning with the first thought of enlightenment, apprehended no Dharma which fully knows, or by which he fully knows, form, etc., to knowledge of all modes, but of sons and daughters of good family who belong to the great vehicle, and who are lacking in perfect wisdom and skill and means of them. Full enlightenment is not to be expected. And why? Because they lack in perfect wisdom and skill and means, have made into a sign all the gift they have given, all the morality they have guarded, etc., to all the wisdom they have perceived. In consequence, it is more than doubtful whether full enlightenment can be expected of them. Therefore, then the Bodhisattva, the great being, who wants to know full enlightenment, should become one not lacking in perfect wisdom and skill and means, having stood in perfect wisdom and in skill and means without taking anything as a basis, and with a mind connected with the signless, he should give gifts, etc., to course in the knowledge of all modes. The aid to emancipation which consists in wisdom. The gods who belong to the realm of sense desire and realm of form, how to come up to, O Lord, how to believe in, is the utmost enlightenment. For here the Bodhisattva, the great being, should fully know all dharmas in all their modes, and yet these dharmas do not exist and cannot be apprehended. The Lord, so it is, O God, so it is. Hard to come up to, hard to believe in, is the utmost enlightenment. By me, however, have all dharmas been fully known in all their modes, and yet no dharma has by me been got, at which would fully know, by which one would fully know, and which one would fully know, and why? Because of the absolute purity of all dharmas. 3 degrees of strength of the aids to emancipation. The highest aids to emancipation, Subhuti. The Lord has said, hard to come up to is the supreme enlightenment. As I, however, understand the meaning of the Lord's teaching, and as I think it out for myself, easy to win is the supreme enlightenment. And why? For no one fully knows, by no one is anything fully known. There is nothing that should be fully known. For, O Lord, all dharmas are empty. And when all dharmas are empty, that dharma doesn't exist which would fully know, or by which one would fully know, or which one would fully know. And why? For all dharmas, O Lord, are empty, and the dharma, for the sake of the growth of diminution, of which he would give gifts, guard morality, etc., to train in knowledge of all modes. These dharmas do not exist, and what he fully knows, and that whereby he fully knows, and that which he fully knows, all these dharmas are empty. In this manner, O Lord, easy to win is the supreme enlightenment of the Bodhisattvas, the great beings in mind, because form, etc., is empty of their own being of form, etc. The weak aids to emancipation. Shariputra, in this manner, Venerable Subhuti, the Supreme Enlightenment is hard to come up to. And why? For it doesn't occur to space, it shall know full enlightenment. Just so it doesn't occur to the Bodhisattva, the great being. I shall know full enlightenment. Why? Because the same as space are all dharmas, and it is after he has firmly believed in all dharmas as the same as space that the Bodhisattva, the great being, knows full enlightenment. If again on the part of the Bodhisattva, the great being, who has firmly believed that all dharmas are the same as space, the Supreme Enlightenment were easy to win, not hard to come up to, then Bodhisattvas countless like the sands of the Ganges would not turn away from full enlightenment. This manner, when in Subhuti one can discern that the Supreme Enlightenment is hard to come up to and not easy to win. Medium aids to emancipation. Subhuti. What do you think, Shariputra? Does form turn away from the Supreme Enlightenment? Shariputra. No, Venerable Subhuti. And so, in detail for feeling, etc., to the knowledge of all modes, Subhuti, is then the Dharma which turns away from full enlightenment other than form, etc.? Shariputra. No, Subhuti. Subhuti. That the suchness of form, etc., turn away from full enlightenment? Shariputra. No, Subhuti. Subhuti is the Dharma which turns away from full enlightenment other than the suchness of form, etc. Shariputra, does suchness turn away from full enlightenment, or does Dharmahood, the Dharma element, the established order of Dharma, the fixed sequence of Dharma, the reality limit, or the inconceivable element? Shariputra, no, Subhuti. Subhuti is the Dharma which turns away from full enlightenment other than suchness, Dharmahood, etc., to the inconceivable element. Shariputra, no, Subhuti. Subhuti, since thus, in ultimate truth and as things stand, those dharmas cannot be apprehended as real. What is that dharma which is turned away from full enlightenment? Shariputra. When one adopts the method of considering dharmas in their ultimate reality, which Subhuti the elder uses in his exposition, and then indeed there is no bodhisattva who will turn away from the supreme enlightenment, but then there will no longer be any ground for the distinction of those who have set their hearts on enlightenment into three kinds of persons who are described by the Tathagata, differ with respect to the vehicle with which they have chosen. According to the exposition of the Venerable Subhuti, there should be only one single kind of bodhisattva, the one who belongs to the bodhisattva vehicle, Purna, the son of Maitrayani. First of all, Venerable Shariputra, Subhuti the elder should be asked whether he looks for even one single kind of bodhisattva. Shariputra. Do you, Venerable Subhuti, look for even one single kind of bodhisattva, one who belongs to the vehicle of the bodhisattvas? Subhuti. Do you, Venerable Shariputra, look in suchness for three kinds of bodhisattvas who use the disciple vehicle, bodhisattvas who use the practical Buddha vehicle, and bodhisattvas who use the bodhisattva vehicle? Shariputra. No, Subhuti. Subhuti. Can the three kinds of bodhisattvas be apprehended as suchness? Shariputra, no, Subhuti. Subhuti. Can the suchness be apprehended as being of one, two, or three kinds? Shariputra, no, Subhuti. Subhuti. Can one in suchness then apprehend one single kind of bodhisattva? Shariputra, no, Subhuti. Subhuti, since in ultimate truth and as things stand, such dharmas cannot be apprehended, wherefrom does the Venerable Shariputra get the idea that the bodhisattva belongs to the disciple vehicle, the bodhisattva to the practical Buddha vehicle, and the bodhisattva again to the Buddha vehicle? If a bodhisattva who thus identifies all dharmas and sadhana doesn't become coward or stolid in mind, has no regrets, and is not frightened, then he is bound to go forth to the supreme enlightenment. The Lord, well said, Subhuti, well said. Through the Buddha's might, you have been inspired to say this. Shariputra, to which enlightenment, O Lord, will the bodhisattva go forth? The Lord, to the supreme enlightenment, the aids to penetration. Heed. Weak hid, Subhuti. How should a bodhisattva and great being behave if he wants to go forth to the supreme enlightenment? The Lord, here the bodhisattva who wants to know full enlightenment should behave towards beings with an even mind. Towards all beings he should produce an even mind, and he should not produce an uneven mind. All beings he should make into an object with an even and not an uneven mind. Towards all beings he should produce the great friendliness and the great compassion. He should handle all beings with friendly thought, with the thought of great compassion. He should towards all beings produce a thought which has slain pride, and he should be honest towards all of them. Medium heed. He should produce towards all beings a thought of benefit and not of no benefit. He should make them into an object with a thought of benefit and not of no benefit. Towards all beings, he should produce a thought free from aversion, and he should make them into an object with a thought free from aversion. Towards all beings, he should produce a thought of non-harming, and he should make them into an object with a thought of non-harming, strong heat. He should handle all beings as if they were his mother, father, brother, sister, son or daughter, his friends, relatives, and kinsmen. It is thus that a bodhisattva should behave if he wants to go forth to supreme enlightenment, samis, low samis. He himself should become one who abstains from taking life, and also others he should induce to abstain from taking life. He should speak in praise of the abstention from taking life, and he should praise also those other peoples who abstain from taking life, one acquiescent. It is thus that a bodhisattva should stand if he wants to go forth to the supreme enlightenment, and what is said of the abstention from taking life applies also to the taking of what is not given, to sexual misconduct, to lying speech, harsh speech, malicious speech, senseless prattling, covetousness, ill will, and wrong views, to the four trances, the four unlimited and the four formless trances. Medium summits. Himself should fulfill the perfection of giving, etc., and also others should induce to fulfill the perfection of giving, etc., to one acquiescent. Highest summits. He himself should develop the emptiness of the subject, etc., for application of mindfulness, etc., to the 10 powers of the Tathagata. He the 4 grounds of self-confidence, the 4 analytical knowledges, the 18 special Buddha dharmas, the great friendliness and the great compassion, and others also he should induce, etc. He himself should accomplish the conditioned production in direct and reverse order, and others also he should induce, etc., and that without taking anything as a basis. Passions, weak passion. He himself should comprehend ill, forsake origination, realize stopping and develop the path, and others also he should induce, etc. Medium passions. He himself should produce cognition for the realization of the fruit of extreme winner, etc. True for the enlightenment of a particular Buddha, but he should not realize the reality limit, and others also he should induce, etc. Strong passions. He himself should enter on a bodhisattva's special way of salvation, and others also he should induce, etc. And that without taking anything as a basis. Highest mundane dharmas. Weak highest mundane dharmas. He himself should mature beings, and others also he established in the maturing of beings, and he praises the maturing of beings, and also those others who mature beings, one acquiescent. He himself should purify the Buddha field, etc. To medium highest mundane dharmas, produce a bodhisattva super knowledges, etc. To strong highest mundane dharmas, produce the cognition of the knowledge of all modes, and others also he should induce, etc. He himself should forsake all defilements together with their residues, and others also he should induce, etc. To one acquiescent. It is that the bodhisattva who wants to go forth to the supreme enlightenment should behave, and that without taking anything as a basis. He himself should acquire the accomplishment of a long lifespan, etc., to one acquiescent. He himself should acquire the stability of his good Dharma, etc., to one acquiescent. It is that the bodhisattva should train in perfect wisdom and skill and means. When he thus trains and abides, then form, etc., to the stability of the good Dharma will be uncovered to him. And why? Because the season of form, etc., is not form. Then when this station of a bodhisattva was being taught, 2,000 bodhisattvas acquired the passionate acquiescence in the fact that no Dharma has ever been produced. Here is the text of the 48th chapter of the large Sutra and Perfect Wisdom Sutras, the Satasahasrika Prajnaparamita Sutram.